Recently, Bitwise, one of the largest crypto funds, filed for an XRP ETF. This is important because they already have a Bitcoin ETF, an Ethereum ETF, and we assume they filed for an XRP ETF because of demand from some of their institutional clients. This was big news and made waves in crypto communities, as XRP is one of the largest cryptos by market cap and Ripple is one of the most established companies in blockchain technology. Then, in a quick turn of events, almost like it was planned, Gary Gensler and the SEC filed their appeal in the Ripple lawsuit, which now won't likely see a full resolution until late 2025 to early 2026. That said, this doesn't change the fact that the XRP token is deemed not a security, and according to Brad Garlinghouse, the law of the land, and that doesn't change just because there was an appeal. And so it's still very much possible with a new presidential administration and with Gary Gensler out of the SEC, we could get a potential XRP ETF this upcoming year. Now, on Twitter, a recent XRP post shared this image directly from the SEC website saying that the ETF was actually approved. But we'll be diving into why this is total BS and arm you with the right tools to differentiate between information and truth. We'll also be covering how the appeal in the Ripple settlement may play out over the upcoming weeks, which could be extremely bullish for all XRP holders. We'll be diving into an enlightening article from the Wall Street Journal that talks about the Goldilocks zone, what that is, what it means for the economy, crypto markets, and more. We'll also be sharing why Goldman Sachs believes the market will continue rallying through 2025 and why it's likely a good idea to continue loading up on XRP and crypto right now. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777, and if you are going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and first I want to start off with the news surrounding the XRP ETF, because recently we saw a couple of accounts share that it was approved, and then they shared an image from the SEC's website that makes it look legit. Now, that said, first and foremost, Brad Garlinghouse did share that Bitwise posted on October 2nd they were filing for an XRP ETF. Now, a lot of folks jumped the gun because even articles from major outlets shared that it was an ETF. Now, the difference between an exchange traded fund, especially if it's following on a spot exchange traded fund, is the fact that you would have to actually buy and hold the spot underlying asset in order to sell access to this ETF. However, directly from the Bitwise account, they actually stated that they are listing or filing a form for an XRP ETP. Now, an ETP is an exchange traded product, and that said, they can actually trade multiple different things inside of that fund, so it doesn't just have to be spot XRP. That's not the only thing that they can hold in that ETP. So there's been a bit of misinformation surrounding that. Now, an XRP ETP is still very bullish for XRP, but I would argue the ETF, at least a spot ETF, is far more bullish. Now, that said, whenever you see big accounts like CryptoGeek share this information, the US SEC has approved the XRP ETF filing just hours before appealing the Ripple lawsuit. That is complete and total BS. This image right here is basically showing that yes, they did file, but if you just go into the comments, you're even going to see that this is not approved. It's just an application. And so whenever you start to see accounts similar to this sharing misinformation and sometimes, I would even argue half of the time, they'll actually go ahead and promote some sort of a XRPL crypto that is on their DeFi exchanges. At the end of the day, they're just trying to get hype and clicks, and they're just sharing total misinformation. So that said, it's important to pay attention to what these accounts share, and more often than not, just kind of ignore them or don't follow them, because you might get a little excited or even be misguided. Now, that said, it doesn't take away from the fact that XRP is truly not a security, and because it's not a security, at some point in time in the near future, arguably under a new administration, we will likely see an ETF approach. And I would argue it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, starting in 2025. I just believe companies like Bitwise are jumping the gun because they see that there is loads of demand and probably calls between their institutional clients saying, we want to buy XRP in a very regulated manner where you actually buy and hold the spot underlying asset. So again, this would all be very bullish for XRP. That said, it's even more bullish by the fact that not only do a lot of funds want and have demand for crypto ETFs, but it seems that global ETFs saw $501 billion in net flows in Q3 of 2024, which is the most in record. So that said, there is clearly demand from the markets for ETFs, and as the demand for crypto grows, there's also going to be more cryptos that are added to this basket of ETFs, one of the first ones being XRP. So yes, I think this is just a sign of things to come, and eventually we are going to get those posts that the SEC did approve a spot ETF for XRP, which again, in my opinion, is already kind of telling you what the story or the outcome is going to be, which then at that point, if we believe that a spot ETF is coming, it's best to load up on bags now before the event, because when the event actually happens, yes, more money's going to flow in, but again, it's kind of one of those things where you want to buy the rumor and then sell the news. Now, that said, with the SEC lawsuit and then appeal, there are a few different variables or things that could potentially happen. Now, I personally believe we are going to go the long route. However, there is potential that this thing is finally settled within about the next 14 days. First and foremost, here is Fred Rispoli sharing his opinion on the SEC v. Ripple appellate timeline. So he believes that Ripple is going to cross appeal. The opposition briefs will be due around, February to March of 2025. Reply briefs will be due end of March 2025. An oral argument will be scheduled for sometime September, October of 2025. And then a ruling will be handed down from the Second Circuit in January to earliest March, April 2026. Now, the only way to really fast track this is if they decide not to follow through with a formal appeal, as the SEC filed a notice of appeal rather than a formal one. They still have the option to reach a settlement with Ripple before the formal appeal is filed. In other words, it is possible that they drop it, and then there is a period of about 14 days following the notice of appeal where they can not only cancel it, but reach a settlement. I think every party wants to see this happen, but I think the only way this is going to happen is if the SEC actually feels pressure from the current administration not to. And if they don't, let's just say the current administration doesn't reach out to Gary Gensler, say, you know what, we feel, and by the way, they're supposed to operate, separately and be separation of powers, but at the end of the day, there are pressures from the White House in just about every government-run agency because their jobs are on the line, right? People can get fired for not doing things. And so that said, if they don't, then I think that's going to tell us a lot about the current administration, Biden and Harris, and how they're going to operate moving forward in 2025 if they are the presidential winners. Now, my personal take is the fact that I believe under a Trump administration, we are likely going to get an XRP ETF far sooner, sometime in the early portion of 2025. On the flip side, and that's whether or not there is an appeal with Ripple, doesn't really matter at this point. I think the whole crypto market is ready to move forward. The price action is looking a heck of a lot stronger. On the flip side, under a Harris-Walz administration, I believe we are still going to get an XRP ETF. And so we will be finding out here shortly, come November, who's going to win the presidential election. Now let's dive into the economy just for a bit. This is a post from BC Letter, and I think they make a really good point in the fact that this is arguably one of the most resilient markets in history, as this week geopolitical tensions escalated and a 50 basis point rate cut is now priced out because jobs looked way stronger than we expected, which means it's highly likely that if they lower interest rates at the Fed, it's going to be less than previously thought, maybe 25 basis points or maybe none at all, which again is going to constrict the economy. Yes, it's going to be good for inflation, but for markets, it's still going to cause a bit. That said, in the same time, the S&P 500 posted its second highest close in history and now trades less than 0.5% away from a new all-time high. Since October of 2023, the S&P 500 is now up a whopping 40%, which is about 20% per year and well outperforming your average or typical year. It added $14 trillion in market cap, or about $1.2 trillion per month. And so now we are in a period where even the Wall Street Journal is titling this the Goldilocks zone. How long can the US economy's Goldilocks moment last? Now, this is specifically referring to the Goldilocks zone in space, where basically it is the habitable sweet spot. In other words, the Earth that we live in is truly the Goldilocks zone for life. A little to the left, a little to the right, we wouldn't be alive right now. We wouldn't have the atmosphere we wouldn't have the habitable zone. In the same vein of thinking, the Goldilocks economy is not too hot, not too cold, but just right. It seems that the Fed might actually be threading the needle, if you will, and not doing too much, not doing too little, but doing just the right amount to continue to keep the economy resilient, which again is going to affect crypto, because crypto is looked on as a risk-on asset by the majority of fund managers, institutional players, and all of the big money. Now, they believe the reason that things are really heating up in the market and we're continuing to see new highs is because the US economy added 254,000 jobs in September, well above its estimate of 150,000. This indicates underlying strength in the economy that previously was not thought to be there. That looks close to the Goldilocks report, warm enough to reassure investors that the US economy is chugging along, but not so hot that it dissuades the Federal Reserve from continuing to cut rates at a gradual pace. So the majority of markets are pricing in a 25 basis point rate cut. That said, the most likely scenario for the economy is still a soft landing aided by a gradually easing Fed. And maybe this is what's got Goldman so excited that they're raising their 12-month S&P 500 target to $6,300 as they lift their 2025 earnings per share growth view to 11%. In other words, the majority of major players believe that next year is not going to be as strong as this year was for the general market. However, they do believe it's going to be stronger than they previously thought. In other words, a 12-month price target is now $6,300 on the S&P 500 for them versus $6,000 previously is what they actually expected. That said, a bullish market environment in the TradFi world or traditional markets is very bullish for crypto, because as long as things are looking good for the S&P 500, then it gives room for Bitcoin to really run. And as Bitcoin runs, so will XRP. So that said, we did get a recent sell-off in XRP, and that was because of the appeal. But the good news is it was not a strong sell-off. Yes, it was kind of nasty for a few days there, but generally speaking, we've seen far worse when the SEC attacks Ripple, especially back in 2020, or even at Black Swan events. I would argue this was one of those events that many people probably weren't expecting, which caused panic. That panic causes people to sell. That said, and maybe then it hits stop losses, which, continues this cascading liquidations type event. When we really do the homework here, though, and toss a parallel channel across the board from the major highs right here, you can see that we have a major support right here at about 51 cents as we touched 1 time, 2 times, and then even 3 with a bear trap, only to see the price break right back up to the 63 cents to 64 cent range. I think this is the price to beat. So we are currently at the bottom of the range, and if you don't remember, a few days ago I was expecting, with all the liquidations and all of the shorts closing, for XRP to continue to climb back up to the 57 cent range, which interestingly enough aligns perfectly with the midline on this parallel channel. That said, I would like to see the price break above 64 cents, and then really the confluence of events that we're all waiting for is to watch XRP break out of that 6.5-year triangle or pennant. If it breaks above that top resistance line at 74 cents, then I do believe it's going to fly to a new all-time high. And I do believe we are currently in a market environment where this dump, although it was nasty, signals strength in the underlying market. And the reason I believe that is because it could have and should have dumped a lot worse on that news, but it didn't. Instead, it was supported right here at 57 cents, and it's still putting in what I would consider a double bottom for an uptrend. Okay, and so a break above 64 cents easily flies us and puts us right at the 74-cent range. Anything above 74 cents, I think it's truly game time. Now, that said, if you are an XRP holder or plan to hold XRP over the upcoming months into the end of the year, as we believe there is a major bull market move coming, then you should head on over to bullrunners.com/cryptoland. You can click the link in the description or in the comments below. Make sure it's the pinned post directly from the channel so you're not getting scammed, because there are a lot of scammers and those are very hard to stay on top of. That said, you will discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. So this is a great way for you to put your XRP to work to not only reduce your volatility in the case we get a little bit more downside, right, because you're stacking up some crypto, but on the flip side, it allows you to sell that crypto that you earn for XRP, so you can also compound on your XRP bags. And we show you exactly how to do it when you click on the link below, you subscribe, you land on this page, and from there we'll show you exactly how. It's simple. It's 3 steps. Get your XRP wallet, get your game pieces, and then you play the game to earn crypto. And when you earn the crypto, again, convertible for XRP. So I would recommend that you watch the videos first so you feel comfortable and confident. Start with a smaller amount, and when you're ready to go, then you can go a little bit bigger. But it's all up to you. We just believe that this is the best way to put your XRP to work if you are a holder. So thanks so much for watching the video. Go to bullrunners.com/cryptoland. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps us out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video, my friend. Goodbye.